Yeah, but it's part of the game, right? So sometimes it's like SoFi, it's I don't know, some offering news, some bad news overall, and it gaps down. And sometimes it's the other side, gaps up. There's a good news. So if we accept that sometimes it gaps up and we're on the right side, we also have to accept that it's part of the game that sometimes it's down. It gaps down on us, and yeah, we just follow the plan. We'll take our loss if we cannot close back into structure, and we'll just call it part of the edge and bad luck. That's it. All right, so let's start with the market. So, duh, 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 duh. So I discussed that a bit yesterday, right? So QQQE. Oh, I'm not at the right spot right there. So QQQE tapped early October high, which was kind of a big area in there as well. So we had that retest, rejection, breakout, uh, breakdown. So we're not able to hold that breakout. Retest from below became resistance, and then we rejected and went into that pullback, right? Um, so that kind of structure is important, is key. Um, so I wouldn't mind if we have some consolidation, tight range, or yes, we had kind of a reclaim and backtest here, but that was kind of a 1 day thing. So don't rule out that maybe we have some weakness today to start the next week to create a much better picture to break out from that multi-week and month base, right? Uh, we're up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 day, right into a big base structure. So that would just be healthy and normal to kind of digest, build some strength before that breakout. But again, uh, yes, I'm saying that, but at the same time, the 21 day structure is rising and we're trending above that rising 21 day structure. So for me, that's everything that I need to know. And when that happens, along with the McClellan summation trending up above a rising 10 DMA, for me, that's just a signal to focus on my exposure, focus on my portfolio, on the focus list, and just execute and focus on my system. So I'm not trying to overthink what price will do. Yes, there's a possibility that we digest, that we reject that base area. But I just remain focused on my exposure and my portfolio, and they will give me the feedback that I need anyway. So yesterday, for example, there was good stress test in the market. Nasdaq was kind of heavy with Microsoft and other mega caps names, but there was some good decoupling in the portfolio. So that's typical of a strong uptrend where indices and even equal weight indices will digest, correct? But you can still make progress with your portfolio. And if you're in the liquid leaders, then often you will get that decoupling from the indices in the market, and you can still grind up while the market is digesting. So that's why from seeing this many cycles, I tend to just switch off the market analysis at some point and focus on my portfolio first. All right, so internals don't look that bad at all. We still have those lower lows after that rejection on the credit spreads. So as long that we continue that downtrend, we're all good. VIX, small gap up right from the recent swing low. There's definitely some structure here. But at the same time, we're below a declining 21 DMA structure. So, oh yeah, thank you for the reminder. There you go. Thank you, Jennifer. So, yeah, I was saying credit spreads keep making new lows, new lower highs and lower lows below declining 21 DMA structure. Same thing for the VIX, which is in some kind of small structure, but we're still below a declining 21 DMA structure. We have Bitcoin trying to retest that reversal pivot. So not a bad spot to find some support, build the right side. If it continues to be healthy and setting up, we should see some support in this area, right? And yeah, NASDAQ under a bit of pressure, but trending above a rising 21 DMA structure as well. And there was some news about Netflix acquiring Warner Bros. This morning. So Netflix reacted badly, and WD a bit higher. So that certainly what put some weight on the NASDAQ and the SPY itself. So more reasons to focus on our stuff first. All right, so portfolio. First one, LRCX. Some were viewing yesterday's action as lagging. I see this as still another micro high low inside day right into that swing high pivot, that reversal pivot in small structure. So for me, I really see it as a tight range above the lower range below the 21 DMA structure. So we're building the right side pretty constructively, and yeah, it looks good. Also, yesterday there was dividends, so sometimes it does affect the share price and the price action. So let's see if we can flip up today and push from here. That would be the ideal scenario. CLAC gapping up to a new high. There's this swing high pivot that we retested yesterday. So it was very constructive action overall yesterday. VRT, daily reversal confirmed from the 21 DMA structure back test. GV, really nice push yesterday. We're still in that kind of high volatility base. So until we break out from here, I do expect some more chop and volatility, to be honest. I would be happy to be surprised and we just keep going. But I prefer to keep a more realistic scenario in my mind. And until we clear those highs, maybe we'll see some selling. IBM, daily reversal of the 21 DMA structure back test, high or low. So all good here. CLS, high or low, 21 EMA structure, reclaim and back test. Daily reversal in 21 EMA, reclaim confirmation yesterday. So that's what I wanted to see. Tesla, a bit under pressure, but too strong day. And to be honest, some kind of back test into a rising 21 DMA structure would not be bad at all at this point. And I'm just being patient with this position until I can de-risk. APH, still building that back test. We have that reversal pivot today to engage if you still want to be in this name. And like I said, keep making higher lows on the right side. We're still building constructively, back testing the rising 21 day structure, so all good. All right, SoFi now, the bad boy, 1.5 billion offering last night. And yeah, we bought 10 minutes before that news. So that's the game. That's part of the game. It sucks, but it's not the first time and it's not the last time. So we'll be opening in the area of my stop loss, which is the 21 DMA structure. So game plan for me for SoFi is to see that open first. I'm ready to give it some room at the open to see if buyers are stepping in. And if there's really no buyers in sight, I might react before the end of the day. But if it's holding decent, then I plan to hold at the end of the day and assess there. Caterpillar, new all-time high yesterday. Nothing to do. That trade is de-risk. I'm just trailing the 21 DMA structure and see where that trend will go. WDC, another higher low back test in the 21 DMA structure, super constructive with a daily reversal pivot reclaim yesterday. So very nice setup in what is the leading name in the memory group. So yeah, there was good action yesterday. Looks like we'll have some weakness again this morning, a bit like yesterday. So it's 2-2 now that we have good pre-market action. Then a news come out. The market just seems a bit not risky. What's the right word? A bit unhedged, would I say? A small bit of news is shaking up the good pre-market action. So let's see if today we have still good decoupling, a bit like yesterday. That would be constructive. And I think there's also core PCE at 10, consumer sentiment and personal income. So these might affect 30 minutes after the open. So something to watch as well. Maybe be careful positioning in the first 30 minutes as this could move the market, right? All right, so game plan for me today. I don't plan much. Like I said last night, I'm already on margin, a bit higher than what I wanted, but I'm comfortable there and I like what I see from the market. So yeah, probably no trade for me today. Anyway, from the focus list, we can cover that, but that's all names that I'm already in. So WDC on that reversal pivot, reclaim, not reclaim, retest, sorry, so on weakness. I had CLS, so same thing, retest of the reversal pivot. So we have, if we have some weakness at the open or early session, that would be a good spot to initiate. VRT, same type of game plan. That would be the reversal pivot retest. And then on strength, I would have APH on the reversal pivot reclaim. And LRCX, same plan on the daily reversal pivot reclaim. That would be a nice spot to initiate that name. All right, so that are the names that I still thought were looking good in the top liquid leader stock. And like I said, I'm already in all those names. I don't plan to add. And my game plan is really to wait for those two hard targets to be hit, and that finally I can start really trimming down my exposure, coming off margin and just seeing where that uptrend goes. All right, so that's a game plan for me. Any questions, guys? Hey, have a good weekend too, my friend. I hope you're going well. Yeah, that market this week is really not clean, should I say. There was a lot of chop. Strength is a bit faded. I was still seeing, and I'm still seeing this as constructive base building, as many names were still below their 21 DMA structure. We saw those move yesterday and the day before. Many reclaimed their 21 DMA structure. Robinhood, Palantir, many of the speculative plays as well just reclaimed their 21 DMA structure. Bitcoin itself is not able yet to reclaim the 21 DMA structure, and that's my thought since the start of the week, that until we see those risk assets really reclaiming their 21 DMA structure and starting to trend as well, we remain in some kind of base building process, and the market still builds strength and tighten up on the right side, especially in those names. And until we see kind of a broader participation in that base building to end, then chop will remain. That's the market we're in. Less is more, um, and buying weakness or really close to the 21 DMA structure is really key. All right, so curious your thought on TSM. Okay, not bringing the chart of TSM. Um, I think I talk about this name every day. I'm not interested simply because it trades on Asia market, and I hate the fact that it gaps up and down every morning because it trades on the Asian market. No stress, bud. Yeah, that's simply a personal choice, right? It's not a bad stock. That's a very good company. That's a very clean chart. I just don't like the way it trades. So that's a personal decision. Alex, I thought it might be interesting to go through some of your thought behind CLS while you were making the multiple entry exit moves. What do you mean, Neil? You know you can go into my trading journal too, right? Uh, what's the exact question? I'm not sure to understand. I explain why I re-entered. I explain why I closed. Okay, while you clarify, I will take another question. Uh, so Art is asking, I'm still playing this cycle very constructively and do not add new trades if I'm not under 1% delta. How do you look at adding later in cycle to stocks when I would be able to decrease the near? Yeah, look, the trend will mature. We will have pull back into the 21 day structure. So right now, I was still seeing kind of the early strength of the market to position myself. But at some point, like a bit like right right here, right? That's the way I was playing that. But later in the trend, you don't want to chase on extensions, right? You want to make sure to initiate new position where the market itself is pulling back into a 21 DMA structure, where you have the McClellan oscillator pulling back into a kind of near oversold area. And that will be the time on fear, on stress test, on pullback, on overall weakness to add exposure. Uh, so you de-risk on those, and you trim down exposure on those spikes, and then you wait for the pullback to reload exposure. That's the goal, right? So I hope it answers the question. Lili, Yeah, I think it needs more time to base from here. Just by the way, it ran up so fast, and just pulling back with non-stop selling. I would expect some kind of counter trend bounce and then maybe some base building around the 21-day structure. I would really not be in a hurry to open that here. Without some tightening, some constructive action, some tight range. Yeah, yeah. I think it needs more time. When you see something running really fast like that, and just coming up straight down into a moving average, um, without like climatic moves like a slush down that would give you some kind of reversal, a bit like this right here. I'm thinking it did the same. Yeah, not on this one. But yeah, I think it needs more time. RDDT. Yeah, still building higher lows. For me, it's out of buy area. We're at 1.25 times ATR from the 21 EMA. You can look for some weakness maybe. So if you go back within 1 ATR from the 21 EMA on weakness, a bit of a shakeout below that swing high pivot. Quick retest of the 21 day structure, or at least yesterday's low. I think that could be a good spot to initiate, but I wouldn't do that right here. I covered the game plan for SoFi. So quickly, I plan to see the open, see the early session. If it holds decent, I will wait at the end of the day. If not, I will close it right away. MP. Yeah, it's that's exactly the names that I was trying to explain, that we're still in early process of turning the boat for the market. Those names are just coming off the 21 day structure. Uh, so yeah, there's potentially a good trade here. That's not my type. But those names will come later in my trend cycle. So they will reclaim their leadership. By that time, I will trim down exposure, and those names will give entries or backtest entries a bit later, in a few days and a few weeks. And that will be the time for me to engage in those kind of higher speculative names, a bit higher in the trend with more confirmation. That would be the goal for me. And that's probably the same thing for NBIS. Yeah, same thing. We discussed that yesterday. I remember in PMS yesterday morning, I was saying that 102.69 pivot reclaim would be kind of the early signal of the reclaim. Then for me, that will be to look for on a retest of the rising 21 day structure, right? That's what I want to see to engage. Hey, have a nice weekend, Pato. See you next week. Bye bye. TMDX. It's not a clean trender. Look at that base. I'm not interested. So I would say too early. Yeah. So maybe there's a trade, right? All depends. But I always ask myself, and that's why I made the liquid leader scan, and we developed TradersLab to calculate the relative strength. My trading in okay, time for a rant. Sorry to pick your questions for your question for it, but uh, it's not in a bad way, right? Hey, he actually looks like me. All right, so let's flip. All right, so liquid leader scans. What I was saying is my my trading really improved when I stopped to chase random setups and focus on the top liquid leaders. And why? Simply because when you focus on those, you already have the trend with you. You already know that the stocks are under accumulations, um, and chances are that pullback will be bought along the trend, and they are simply leading the market. And the other thing that a bit longer term relative strength does is that you also get the longer term trend on your side, not only the short term trend, but the midterm to long term trend. So, unlike TMDX, where it's going nowhere for the last months, yes, there's a mini trend on the left side, but it's going nowhere. So look at the liquid leaders, all trending. There's some names, right? But look at the other side. So it's a nice base. There's not only that small trend on the left side. There's a beautiful trend since April, and that's why it's high on the relative strength. And you look at all the liquid leaders, and they're all looking good on the left side. They're all under accumulation simply because relative strength is high. So you can check the gate book. I explain exactly why. It's because those names are under institutional accumulation, and that's why they contract less on pullback and correction, and they tend to lead as well when the market resumes the uptrend. So when I see those names, and I was chasing those names as well before, because if you don't focus on mid and longer term relative strength, those names will be picked up on all the 21 DMA structure pullback, for example. But you're missing the bigger picture. As is this stock really trending over not the short term, because sometimes you can have basing process, but over the mid to long term? Is it a good stock to hold? And will it give you clean trend for a swing trade? That's the most important to me. And once I understand that and build that into my process and my system, my win rate increased a lot and a lot. So I'm not telling anyone what to do, but I'm just telling you that by focusing on 40 names, the top 40 names, 40 to 50 names, that's where my trading really improved. So do what you want with it, but I'm just sharing what worked for me. So Jim, thanks Alex for great insight. I tend to rush the process and need to be more patient and see the back test in order to wait. Yeah, don't get me wrong, right? It's only because I made it a priority in my process to focus on the top relative strength names. And those are so the names that are just reclaiming their 21 day structure now. those are potentially good names, and you will have a lot of momentum from those names. Um, but I just decided to focus in top relative strength name because they tend to give cleaner moves, and I don't chase those big returns anyway. I want to sleep well. I prefer to go on margin with a bit slower names than to be early on more speculative names, right? I don't know if it makes sense, but for me, it's all about uh, clean moves, accumulation, uh, and some orderly trend rather than picking up quick trends that don't go anywhere and finally kind of have a lower win rate to work the mid trend. So you have to feel it, you have to trade it to really understand. But yeah, that's where my process is. Yeah, BE will probably be in that scan, and we discussed that yesterday. We knew that it was building constructively. We knew that that 21 DMA structure reclaim was kind of the first initial um, constructive action, and look what we discussed. I want to see that 21 DMA structure flip up, and then by the time hopefully I will be able to reduce my exposure and take some exposure in those higher speculative names. I don't want to have my portfolio full of those names. I want to add those a bit later in the trend when I have good cushion on my liquid leaders, um, and good cushion overall in my portfolio. Then I can add those a bit riskier names. Yeah, I do trade QBTS and those names. I traded RGTI in that period. I traded Rocket Lab. So speculative stocks are all reclaiming their 21 DMA structure. So that's constructive. Let's see how they go on that initial momentum phase, and maybe next week or the week after they will start to pull back, and that will be time to watch for those names. And look back in April, same thing that those names did, right? And you get that initial trust out of the low cheat range, out of the 21 day structure, and sometimes it's not clean, right? It doesn't mean that because we reclaim the 21 day structure it just go right to the moon, right? It needed to to digest, to build a higher low, and look what you had, a pretty clean entry right off the back test. um, so you had a first one there, not stopped out, or you can engage right here. So you will have entries. Don't have FOMO. Don't think that the stocks will go for 25 sessions straight up to the moon. That's not how the market and stocks move. So be patient, wait for your entry on the back test, and they will all back test eventually. Uh, if you don't trust me, open TradersView, go back in time, look at those names, how they traded around the 21 DMA structure. And it's very rare that we see a name just reclaiming the 21 DMA structure and going straight up without going at least one back test early in the trend. So Kai, I covered 2 times already my game plan for SoFi, so I will upload the recording, and you can rewatch the session. All right, guys. So that's the game plan for me. Probably not doing much today apart managing SoFi. And if we can have some strength, then hopefully de-risk some stuff. Um, and yeah, I hope you learned something new today. That's the goal with those sessions, not only to um, explain what I see from the market and review the portfolio, etc., but hopefully to give back a bit of experience and mentor and coach you a bit along the way. So thanks for the good questions, guys. And something I start a rant on some questions, but tell you that when I go on a rant on a questions, that's usually a very good question, and that requires more explanation. So keep them coming. That's how we can have constructive discussion. All right. So have a good day, everyone, and we're Friday, so have a good weekend as well. Take care. Cheers. Bye bye.